Dr. and Mrs. Delaney for tonight and just your constant love and support. And especially thank you to John and Sheila. I know this is not an easy endeavor, having 50 plus people to your home. So we're thrilled to do this kind of a groom's dinner. It's what we wanted. We've gone up and down on the type of weddings we wanted to have, and this was kind of one that went by in the roller coaster we took people on picking a venue. But thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be part of the Delaney family, mostly because I've come to know what that means, and it's kind of what we're all experiencing right now, and that is just warmth and a family that just comes together frequently and loves each other during the good times and the bad. And so there's tons of warmth and great things about this family, and I'm thrilled to be part of it. There are two specific characteristics about Jim's mom and dad that he has that I feel blessed to have in my husband. One is Mrs. Delaney and Jim make friends effortlessly. And as an introvert, and I'm always super jealous of they come into a room, they can relate to anyone no matter who it is, and they make people feel comfortable. One of my best friends from high school said to me, whenever I'm with Jim, I just feel comforted. And I thought, that's a wonderful thing to say about someone. And Dr. Delaney and Jim have the same quality, and that is a solid constitution of doing the right thing and the wrong thing, and it's always doing the right thing. And it's just this moral constitution that is part of who they are, and the honesty is part of someone who you want to marry. And this is where things might go south. My dad also had that just innate honesty and goodness about him, and it's part of why I love Jim. And it's sad for me that he was, what a lot of people don't know is because you've never met him, is he was such an integral part of our immediate family and our extended family, and he was a gatherer too, and an extrovert and a wonderful person. But all I'll leave you with about my dad is kind of what Greg said, and is that he was a great dad, and he beamed pride for his children. And I knew this was going to happen. But he really did. I mean, we knew he was so proud of us. And he was our best friend. So it's sad for me not to have him. But my brother is the best replacement ever, and my sister too. Because they're 11 and 14 years older, they've been second parents to me as Jim's siblings are to him. I didn't have any in between, so. But they've been an extreme support to me, as is my mom. Jim always says, "You're my best friend." He kind of jokes, he's like, "I think your mom's probably your best friend." Because she's the sweetest, loving, she's the love of my life, and I love her to death. And if you're married, and you just please tell her how much time you spend with your children. Even though you're married, you still see them and spend a lot of time with them. So I also want to thank him Cousin Aunts, because we don't have as big a family as you do, and they're just amazing, and my cousins, and they're a huge part of my life. And then Jim, I'm sorry, I'm really going to get this. He's the most solid person you can come across, and I read this book. I don't get to read a lot because I'm in school, but I read this book recently, and I'm sure many of you have read it. It's When Breath Becomes Air, and it was about a neurosurgeon who was diagnosed with fatal lung cancer in his last year of residency, and he was married, and he hadn't had a child yet, but he talked about the trials and tribulations of being a physician and knowing kind of what the CAT scan says is in his journey to find meaning in his last years, essentially, and he ended up having a child. And I have it on my phone, but I'm not going to pull it out now because I have to put my password and everything. But he said something to the effect of, life is not always about perfection, and there is some happiness that comes in struggle, and some beauty in finding meaning in life. And that, I'm not saying it exactly right, but life doesn't have to be perfect to be beautiful. And oftentimes the most hardworking and challenging times in your life can make it the most beautiful. And I absolutely know without a doubt my life will have meaning because I'm marrying Jim, and our days on earth are know that I have lived a life I am deeply, deeply proud of. And so, thank you. And cheers to this loving, loving family on both sides.
Never afraid to stick my head in the lion's mouth. This could take a minute. So get comfortable and enjoy your dessert. Because there are 51 people here, I think, approximately 51 people here, and I want to say something special and important and let you know how important each of you are to me, and I know to Kari as well. And President Kennedy said the victory has 1,000 fathers, and failure is an orphan. And I feel like we have 1,000 mothers and fathers here tonight, and sometimes we don't love every minute of the fathering and mothering of all 51 of you, but for the most part, I know that I've benefited tremendously from the wisdom of each of you, and even those of you who I've met more recently from Kari's family have learned so much, so my sisters, there's no way to lump my 4 sisters into a category. They're unbelievably different from each other. They're unbelievably amazing in their own ways. Molly is the most selfless person I think there ever was on the planet. She's been helping us a lot with the reception, and we were at the tasting for the reception, and she joined us because she wanted to look at the tables, and she said, "Oh, well, I've got to leave a little early," which she didn't even get a meal out of the tasting. She said, "I've got to leave a little early because I'm teaching a class at whatever school it was." And I said, "Wait a minute, teaching a class? How long is that new?" And she said, "Oh, no, I've been doing it for about 3 years." You never know. She left a store that supports women in Tanzania that she created to come and help us with our reception, and had to leave early and didn't get to eat because she was going to do something else.
Talk about Kari.
No. Sheila, where's Sheila? Wherever Sheila is.
Right there.
Oh, she is. Sheila.
My goodness.
Sheila, one more story about Molly is she convinced me to move to Boston at a really important time in my life. So I moved to Boston. I think I had $1,000 in my pocket. Sheila said, "You can move in with me, and you can move in, with me and John. You have to have $2,000 in your pocket when you do." So I showed up, and she said, "How much money do you have?" And I said, $1,000. And she said, Jim! What's she gonna do? Kick me out? So I lived with Sheila and John for a couple of months.
I owed you $1,000.
I think right. I think I've paid it back. Anyway,
we don't care.
Sheila and John took me in, and John and I had professional experiences back then. He saved me from working at the Harvard bookstore, which was terrible. And scooped me out of there. I worked with him, and we'd take these odd, winding, we never took the same path to get home. And we'd have these great conversations, and it was just, it was like having another brother. My brother John at the end of the table here, so like having another brother, which was great. Mark, where Mark is, I promise I'm going to drag this out forever, so it's going to take a while. There's Mark, one of the deepest family men. Anand too. The thing I can say about my brothers-in-law is they're incredibly dedicated family men, which is amazing. When you have new people come in, it's like, who is this character? And then you learn that they're totally dedicated to your sister, and that's an amazing thing. Nikki is at the end of the table here as well. Also another person who's totally dedicated to family, who's a driver, who works so hard for her family, and takes such good care of them. Also another person who's constantly doing. She's a nurse, she's a mother, she's a grandmother, she's all these different things, and then she's like, oh, well, I built this whole garden, and I did this whole thing, and I cleaned the pool yesterday, and I went water skiing and hang gliding, and I learned Latin, and all of these amazing things. So every time I talk to one of my siblings, I'm embarrassed at how little I do. So anyway, Kate, my sister Kate, she gave a wonderful toast, talked about how close we are. We grew up the closest in age, and just salt of the earth. If I'm a new soul on earth, Kate's an angel on earth, and a really wonderful person. We're moving soon, and so I've been going through all these old boxes of stuff. I've lived in my apartment for 10 years, as embarrassing as that is. Lived in the same apartment for 10 years. And I'm going through all these old boxes and weeding out all this stuff, all these old photos I don't want or whatever it is. And I keep finding these letters from Kate, and I'm like, I'm sure when I was 22 or 24 or 28 or 38 or whatever it was, I was like, oh, nice, a letter from Kate, and I'd pitch it in a box, and like I'd read it, and great, this is nice. But it's like letter after letter after letter. I'm like, wow, I probably never wrote back once. I apologize so much. Blame it on that, I hope. So anyway, thank you for that. My brother John, my best man, the best man a guy could have. Another salt of the earth person, unassuming, has no pretense or arrogance or desire for self that I've seen, at least in my life. So an incredible example as well. My wonderful parents, as Kari pointed out, my mom and I share the gift of gab and gift of connection with people. And my sister, I think it was either Sheila or Marla, was saying, well, we'd go to weddings growing up, and my mom would always, at the end of the night, you'd always see mom holding someone's hands in the corner, and that woman would be weeping on their shoulder. Right, because she asked them, like, what their mom was like growing up, and this person would just unload their persona onto my mom's shoulder, and, like, just has this unbelievable ability to generate that or engender that trust in other people, and hopefully I've inherited a little bit of that. She read to me as a child, and that's constantly read to me as a child, and I know that's where my curiosity comes from. And as Kari mentioned, my dad's unfailing compass, moral compass, guides me constantly. And for him, I think it was natural. I think for you, Dad, it was something that was probably born in you, and I've had to learn it. But it's that sort of development of a constitution where something comes along, and if there's any ambiguity to it, it bounces off that constitution and it goes to the correct side. And I know that comes from you, Dad, that for you it's unthinking. For me, I have to think about it. I've told this story before, but we were playing golf. We were at the driving range one time, and there were, sometimes there are some golf balls in the pile of golf balls that you're hitting that don't have the stripe on them, or they aren't yellow. They're a nice golf ball or a new golf ball. And so I looked over at my dad's pile of golf balls, and there were 3 or 4 beautiful, Titleist Pro V1s or something in there, expensive golf ball. And I said, Dad, you should carve those balls out. You should take those and put them in your bag. And didn't miss a beat, stop swinging the golf club, didn't even look up, and he just said, they're not mine, and just kept hitting golf balls. And I was like, wow. That didn't take, that would have been like, huh. $7.50 a piece. I could save, $30 if I carved those golf balls up. But it probably might not, it's just the right thing to do. I don't know. I'll go get a beer and think about it. The right thing to do. For him, it was an instantaneous thing where it's like, they're not mine. I was like, huh, wow. And I was probably 10 or something. That really stuck with me. The other thing, my dad sat me down one time and my entire life has said marriage is the most important thing you'll ever do. If you don't like your job, change it. If you don't like your car, get a different one. If you don't like where you live, move. Da 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 da. But the most important thing you'll ever do is get married. So if all of you are wondering why I waited 41 years, I had a little bit to do with it. The absolute terror of doing it wrong. And thank God that was.
I hear you, brother.
Thank God. I mean, I waited 7 more years than John did. So thank God for that fear built in, because I know I'm making the right decision. I know I'm marrying the most wonderful woman I could possibly have met, and we've been through our ups and downs and had our starts and stops, and several of you have mentioned Kari's an attractive woman. Have you caught that anywhere in this or if you've noticed? I had this thought the other day, and I'd kind of forgotten about this. A few years ago, we were in this argument about something, probably my job or her not putting the salt shaker next to the pepper shaker or something. And I was spazzing about something, and at the exact same time of being like, Kari, why not? I'm sitting there thinking, my God, you're beautiful. Literally the words are coming out of my mouth. I'm like, why can't you just, like, the dishes are right there and, like, the sink, and you turn the hot water on and you rinse the dish. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, man, you're beautiful, though. So, I will admit that openly. It's hard to fight with someone as beautiful as Kari. It's way harder to argue with someone as wonderful as Kari on the inside as well. She's like my brother and like my sister Kate, you know, that sort of salt of the earth, unassuming, no pretense. And I don't mean that about my other sisters that aren't that way. So, she talked about running down the beach. I thought she was going to tell the story of when I punched her in the mouth. I was 12. I think I was 12. I think she was trying to drown me. I was in St. Croix. I punched her in the mouth, and she never came after me again after that. Only person I've ever punched in the face, man or woman. So anyway, what's that? That's the sad part. But Flannery has transitioned amazingly from this super driver person who pushed me to be better constantly, who pushed me to be a better person constantly, to this person who's like Kari, who's like has this deep, solid core, that same drive, that same passion, but so much more sort of introverted and reserved and solid and foundational. So, Flannery, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
I was scared for you to say anything about me.
Yeah.
I was nervous.
Beat me in tennis, and I still don't think I've beaten you in tennis, but anyway, I told you this would take a while. I have a wonderful group of friends at the end of the table here. Trace Martin, the leader of the pack right here. Trace wants you to know that he's the best of the friends.
What are his qualifications for that?
He tries really hard. Unbelievable group of friends. They took me to Vegas for my bachelor party. I was like, guys, 41 Vegas. Like, these aren't matching up for me. I'm kind of awkward. I took Andy Bennett, or maybe he took me out for drinks to like talk through the weekend to make sure that it was going to turn out okay and everything was going to be above board. And Andy and I were roommates in Vegas, which was just an absolute smash and fantastic time.
Was Mike Tyson there?
Mike Tyson might have been there. Andy Bennett, funniest thing I've heard in a decade was he threatened to karate kick a bouncer in the ribs. And if you know Andy Bennett, you'll know that is the absolute opposite of his personality. Karate kick a 300-pound bouncer in the ribs. So anyway, amazing time in Vegas. I'm so thrilled that you are all here. I think Seth and Tammy had to go.
Yeah, they did.
They had to go there. I think their daughter may have broken their ankle. So Seth was one of my oldest friends. We used to run around on the beach out at St. Croix together. We went to SBA together. We lived in Boston together. We lived back here together. So tremendous friends. And it's taken all of you to get me to a place where I felt confident and solid and stable and ethical and balanced and all those things enough to really have the confidence to ask Kari to marry me, and thankfully she said yes. And people are like, oh, are you nervous? And I'm like, no, I feel pretty good. And then underneath that I'm like, but she still has to say I do. I mean, like, congratulations. I'm like, this isn't done yet. Where am I going to go here? My godparents are here. I know I've basically talked about everybody now at this point. My godparents are here. Thank you for being a wonderful example for me for all these years. You raised wonderful children who I've gotten to know over the years, and so thankful for that. And thankfully you're participating tomorrow and bringing up the gifts. Uncle Warren for lunch the other day and for providing sage advice and participating in the ceremony as well, and Bonnie and everybody here. I mean, I'm going to go on and on and on, so I apologize for all of that. Greg's clapping me off, so Greg's like, good job. Where's the music? Thank you very much.
If you come here freely and without reservation to give yourselves to each other in marriage, and will you love and honor each other as husband and wife for the rest of your life? Since it is your intention to enter into marriage, I invite you to declare your consent before God and this community.
husband. I promise to be true to you in good times and in bad, in sickness and in health. I will love you and honor you all the days of my life.
You have declared your consent before the church. May the Lord in his goodness bless that ye spend and strengthen it in what God has done. No one should divide. Lord, bless these rings which we bless in your name. May Kari and Jim, who will wear them, always have a deep and abiding love for one another. May these rings be symbols of that love and symbols of your fidelity. This prayer we ask through Christ our Lord.
Kari, take this ring as a sign of my love and fidelity.
Jim, take this ring as a sign of my love and fidelity.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. We have heard the word of God, celebrated the marriage vow. Let us now turn to the Lord in faith.
The response will be, Lord, hear our prayer. For the Church, that guided by the Pope and the bishops, it may be a clearer sign of God's kingdom on earth. Let us pray to the Lord.
Lord, hear our prayer.
For all of our government leaders, that they may have the wisdom and courage to carry out the law of God written on every person's heart. Let us pray to the Lord.
Lord, hear our prayer.
For all who struggle to live their lives as witnesses to Christ, that God might give them the strength to persevere. Let us pray to the Lord.
Lord, hear our prayer.
For all married couples, that their lives together might be powerful witness of their faith. Let us pray to the Lord.
Lord, hear our prayer.
For Jim and Kari, now beginning their life together, that they might enjoy God's constant help, the support of family and friends, the blessing of children, and an ever-deepening love that reaches out to others. Let us pray to the Lord.
Lord, hear our prayer.
For all who have died, especially for Martin Erickson, Paul Erickson, Paula Erickson, Anne Hatch, Margaret Keppel, Rob Estrada, Grandma and Grandpa Delaney, and Grandma and Grandpa Dolan, that they might rejoice in God's presence